Imagine being punished by someone 2 years older than you. I don't know what it's like to be lonely. Oh. When I talk to her, I try to match her accent. Update. My parents are kicking me out. I read a book recently called How to Make Friends and Influence People. It's a messy situation. If people are giving you advice and there's that little voice in the back of your head that's like, no, this isn't right. So hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Layla, and it's everyone's favorite time of the month. So in case you're new here and you have no idea what's popping off, every last Friday of the month, I like to read Am I the A-hole stories. And in case you're like, what's that? My question to you is, where have you been for the last decade? Am I the A-hole is a subreddit on Reddit where people can describe a story or situation that happened and ask the timeless question, am I the A-hole? And from there, people in the comment section will go, yes, no, maybe so, everybody sucks here, so on and so forth. Now my main go-to for the crazy, toxic stories is this page on Instagram called Toxic Reddit. They are a page that curates some of the most toxic stories from across various subreddits, not just Am I the A-hole, so if you're into that, you should go check them out. And we will also be using a very dead Instagram page called Reddit.rabbit because they have some great posts. Though they may not have posted since 2022, I still like some of their posts, and I'd like to work through the account a little bit more before we throw it in the bin. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Summer has officially begun, the summer solstice hit, and it is warm, and I hate this time of year. So what I want you to do is to grab your snacks, grab your drinks, get all cozy and comfortable, and let's just dive right in with our first post. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my friend group for horrible relationship advice that broke up my marriage? My main group of friends is 4 other women I met at university 10 years ago. We all met basically on the first week of the first year and have stayed tight with each other done then alive 10 years ago. And have stayed tight with each other done then alive 10 years ago. What does that mean? Can't even decode that one. I'm like scratching my head trying to figure it out. I used to think they were all badass and looked to them for advice for a lot of stuff, including relationships. I started seeing my now ex-husband 6 years ago. We got married 2 years ago, got separated 1 year ago, and now divorce is final. A lot of the problems we had was me acting on what in hindsight seems like bad advice given to me by my friends. Examples. Just after our engagement, they convinced me that I shouldn't change my last name or hyphenate because it was old-fashioned and oppressive, even though Mark told me early on that it was an important thing to him. They planted doubts in my mind about how what originally I thought were innocent comments by his mom were jabs she was taking at me, and pushed me to force Mark to stand up for me to his mom. Convinced me that I need to ration because some stupid reason that I bought into then that doesn't make sense now. Well, what's the reason? Convinced me that when we have kids, they should take my last name, because I would be giving birth, and again, we shouldn't support old-fashioned traditions. With the last fight, Mark had enough and said he wanted out and initiated the breakup. I was devastated. I foolishly thought he'd never leave me again because my friends convinced me that I was way out of his league and that he would never leave me. I decided I can't be friends with these women anymore because not only did they give me really bad advice, but when each of them were married, none of them followed any of the advice that had been so important when they told me. They each took their husband's last names. Oh, hey! They all bend over backwards to get along with their in-laws. No rationing. No more kids need to get mother's last name talk. This just pissed me off and I confronted them. I told them they were just using my marriage as a playground to test their stupid relationship theories, and that they only started really thinking things through when it came to their own relationships. I told them I couldn't be friends with them anymore. You're the a-hole for not owning your own life and decisions like a grown woman. And if you seriously think your marriage fell apart because you didn't change your last name and asked your husband to stand up to his mom, then the marriage wasn't strong in the first place. And if you decided to ration sex for no reason, that is 100% on you. First, I don't even believe your friends told you to do that because it doesn't make any sense and they're not doing it themselves. And second, it's so obviously a ridiculous idea that you should have known better. Part of being an adult and making adult decisions is recognizing bad and hypocritical advice and making your own choice whether to follow it. It is so blatantly obvious from the letter that you're just desperately looking for someone to blame for your marriage falling apart, and desperate to believe that it was nothing to do with you or your husband. Your friends seem like a convenient scapegoat right now. Go ahead and cut them out if they're malicious people who purposely give you bad or hypocritical advice. But do yourself the most important favor of your life and take a hard look at your own self, or the next time won't be any better. You're the a-hole in pretty much all aspects. You're the a-hole for taking advice. You're the a-hole for saying they broke up your marriage when it was 100% you. Good for your ex-husband for getting out. And then on Instagram, a lot of people were saying that this kind of sounds like an incel's fantasy writing. I don't really know. There are people who will take, like, their friend's advice as Bible, and I don't get those people. The thing is, the story really makes very little sense. So the thing is, you don't have to listen to a group of people just because they're your friend, right? Like, the thing is, if people are giving you advice and there's that little voice in the back of your head that's like, no, this isn't right, listen to that voice, because that voice is usually very right on. It just sounds like you want to pin all the blame onto your friends for destroying your marriage, and maybe they did give you bad advice. Let's say that the friends really did steer you in the wrong direction. It makes sense to look at them in part to blame, but it doesn't really make sense to blame them. But it's, at the end of the day, your fault for taking those actions, right? So I think because the original poster decided to take their advice and run very far with it and not even question, like, should I be listening to them? Should I be doing this? Is this what I want? Like, that's the questions you gotta ask yourself when people give you advice. Because not everyone who gives you advice has the best intentions in mind. So these are just kind of the things you have to question when people are giving you advice. If someone's giving you advice and it just rings this bad in your head, you don't have to take that advice. And I think pinning the end of your marriage completely on your friends is kind of crazy, and maybe you don't want to be friends with people who tell you to do this thing and then they don't follow up on their own advice, but at the end of the day, it is your fault for listening to them. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for excluding my brother-in-law's wife and their love child from a family vacation? This is about to get wild. My sister and I were married to brothers. That's a whole other level of drama I don't need in my life. Nobody cares. My sister and I were married to brothers until it was revealed that my brother-in-law had a secret love child with his now wife. He also has 2 children with my sister. I want nothing to do with the wife, and she tried to leverage her child as a way to force my husband and in-laws into making me accept her so she gets excluded too. Do we mean included, or am I just reading this wrong? I'm planning a family vacation, and the only reason I invited my brother-in-law is because he has custody during the 2 weeks the trip is taking place. I made it clear that his wife isn't invited, and that my sister will be there with her boyfriend. He said he and the kids would be coming, but then his wife found out, and now she's having a meltdown because their daughter's birthday is during the trip. It's a messy situation. She said I keep excluding her and her daughters from everything and have made them feel like they aren't part of the family, and she won't let me keep doing this. Now he's telling me he won't come, and neither will the kids unless I invite them too, which I refuse to do. Am I the a-hole? Everybody sucks here, bordering on you're the a-hole. It's pretty gross that you seem to be directing your anger and exclusion towards her and not your brother-in-law. It's not like you couldn't have scheduled the vacation. Why did I say it like that? It's not like you couldn't have scheduled the vacation during your sister's custody time. Does she really want to be on a vacation with her ex who cheated anyways? Also, sounds like you're excluding the child, which is deeply messed up. That child doesn't deserve to be isolated from their siblings because of their parents' mistakes. I couldn't have scheduled it during my sister's custody time. My sister is okay with her ex coming. I asked her before I invited him. If her mother didn't try to use her to force me to invite her too, she wouldn't be consistently excluded. Oh, she won't let you keep doing this, huh? She messed around with a married man and then had the nerve to complain about being judged for doing so? Nah. You're not the a-hole. Agreed. Who the hell does she think she is making any demands after wrecking a marriage? Don't invite brother-in-law or homewrecker. There's a lot of hot takes here, and you know what? I do kind of agree. The kids in the situation, completely innocent. It's the adults. I don't understand why we need to invite brother-in-law, but at the same point, Marrying brothers, that's gotta be messy business because you can't ice out someone's sibling. It's really hard to cut off someone else's sibling, and really, ultimately, not your decision to make. I understand all the different angles here, and I would say it's a very soft everyone sucks here. I don't know, it's a messy story for sure. I understand not wanting the new wife there. Maybe the original poster's husband wants his brother there, maybe that's why they invited him, I don't really know, but I feel like this whole situation created a lot of drama. Because it is one of the kids' birthdays, I think that's kind of where things get messy, where the kids are included, because he'd either have to skip his daughter's birthday, or they'd have to bring the daughter along, and then those kids would be around people who don't like their mother, and then that would be a whole messy situation, and that would be really crazy, and that would be really wild, and I think that would be really screwed up for the kids. And what kid typically doesn't want to be with their mother, at least in part? You know, a lot of kids I don't think would want to go on a vacation without their mother there. At least I, as a child, wouldn't have wanted to, and kids are smart and pick up on things, so they might understand. So they might pick up on some underlying tensions or issues with their mother. I'm overthinking this, but it's a messy situation for sure. So I think my opinion is it's a very soft, everybody sucks here. I completely get where the original poster is coming from, but it's also very hard to do that when it's your husband's brother and then your nieces and nephews, right? Is that how families work? How does a family tree work? And then it's his brother, his nieces and nephews. I think the wife just kind of throws a wrench in all of this, right? Boo on the brother-in-law for cheating. Boo! We boo cheaters here. We don't make any excuses. We don't make any exceptions. Cheaters on this channel. Doesn't matter. I don't care. You could have the whole freaking stab story. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because I'm not going to have sympathy. That's my take on it. It's deep. It's layered. It's messy. There's a lot to kind of consider here. You know, there's a lot to think about here, and I don't think you can either say, not the a-hole, you're the a-hole, I think everybody sucks here is fair because the brother-in-law sucks. The homewrecker sucks. The kids didn't do anything. You know, it's a tough situation, so my verdict would be a soft everybody sucks here. It's okay if you disagree. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for being overly accommodating to my new coworker? Hello, MAA. What does that stand for? Ask me anything? No. This is my first Reddit post, so bear with me. I, 26 male, am currently a UX designer for Vanguard, and I have a meeting tomorrow with HR that seems serious, and I'm incredibly nervous about it. I'm looking to ease my anxiety. We recently had a new project manager join my vertical. She's a Kenyan immigrant in her early 40s. She is great. She is unproblematic, quiet, and professional, which has made her a great addition to the team. Initially, her and I were in good graces, but it seems that she has filed some kind of report about me to HR, which we will be discussing in the previously mentioned meeting tomorrow. I've been very kind to her, and done a lot to try to contribute to a comfortable environment for her. I ask her how she was doing every day, and I constantly ask her if she needs any help. When I talk to her, I try to match her accent. And nomenclature, that means the devising or choosing of names for things, especially in a science or other discipline. So she has a better understanding of what I'm saying. Just sounds like you're talking down to her. I walk by her desk pretty often throughout the day, and I always make it a point to make appropriate small talk with her. As time went on, her responses have gotten shorter and shorter. In order to be more accommodating, I have asked her questions that are more inquisitive about her as a person. This sounds like someone's first day on Earth. I read a book recently called How to Make Friends and Influence People. And it talks about how people enjoy talking about themselves and that you should listen more than you talk. That's true. People love to talk about themselves. So I've asked her questions about herself, like what part of Kenya and tribe she is from, what does she like about the city, if she has any kids, where can I get the best fufu, and if she likes soccer or any other sports. Even with all this courtesy and accommodation, she still has been becoming disengaged with my inquiries and almost standoffish. There have been no real verbal conflicts between her and I, and this has kind of caught me off guard. I think there is a good chance that she's just very introverted and is bothered by my extroverted nature, which I'm happy to tone down for her. I am having trouble sleeping over this. And would really like to know if I am the a-hole. You're the a-hole. Just treat her like anybody else. She is a competent professional. She doesn't need extra emotional or professional help. She certainly doesn't need you to mimic her accent. She can understand you perfectly. I am equally this kind to everyone, and from what I understand, matching tones is a psychological strategy to break down conversational barriers. You didn't match her tone. In your post, you explicitly said you tried to match her accent. There is a big difference. Tone is an ingrediential component to accent. Please, you need to stop arguing and start changing if you want to keep this in future jobs. You misunderstood badly. Matching tone means like, are they chatty? Are they informal? Are they just trying to get the facts and get stuff done? It doesn't mean mimicking their voice. That's weird. Ain't no way. Matched her accent? Ask what tribe she's from? My brother in Christ. I've also read that book, and nowhere does it say to copy people's accents. He also asked her where to get her best fufu. Fufu is a dish popular in West Africa. Wen's from Kenya, which is in East Africa. The whole other side of the continent. They don't even eat that there! To be honest, as a Kenyan, the tribe question isn't all that bad, but mimicking the accent is crazy. I don't know. I don't understand. Mimicking people will very often result, I think, in people taking offense. So if you have a British person, and you try to imitate their accent, what do you think happens? Do British people like that? No. You do that with anyone who has a different dialect or way of speaking from you, and it just sounds like you're mocking them. It will come across as mockery. I don't understand, like, this hyperfixation on having to treat people. Can you please? There seems to be a little bit of a hyperfixation on treating this woman like she's this whole other species, right? But at the end of the day, people are just people. Treat them like such. You don't have to go crazy with it. I've also never understood wanting to get to know your coworkers, but maybe that's just a me problem. You can get to know people without doing things that might come across as derogatory or mocking. I just feel like I would be uncomfortable if someone mimicked the way I talk, or tried to copy, like, the way, like, even with my hands, when people do that back at you, it just feels like you're being mocked, right? You're not matching her tone, you're matching her accent, and I don't understand why they thought that would be an okay thing to do. I've been sitting here kind of baffled, trying to think, like, why someone would think that's an okay thing to do. Also, him not knowing that about the fufu, the thing is, it'll take you 5 seconds to do a quick Google search on people's culture. Yeah, so fufu it's a pounded meal, and its place of origin is West Africa. I gotta be honest, that's a really embarrassing bit. The thing is, if I met someone who was of a different culture than myself, I would Google what I'm talking about first, rather than just assuming this must be part of their culture because they're from this place. Like, it's like when people assume they know the average American diet, and they don't know the average American diet. Americans ain't eating the family-sized bag of chips all by themselves. At least not on one serving. But yeah, a quick, 10 minutes of research would have saved him the embarrassment of this. And honestly, stop being weird to coworkers and you won't have any problems with HR. So anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for being uncomfortable with my girlfriend being naked around her dog? My 33 male girlfriend, 30, hates clothes. Me too. Very confident for someone who can't even wear short sleeves. To the point where she has actively researched nudist colonies, and if it wasn't for having to occasionally go into the office, she would have moved there long before she met me. So she's always naked around the house, which for me, it's hella nice. She's got a rockin' bod. The issue is her 2-year-old dog. The dog is a super cute and fluffy Great Pyrenees. Very well-trained. 10 out of 10, a good girl. My girlfriend was there when her friend brought the heavily pregnant mom home from the pound, was there at the birth, and fell in love immediately. She sees that dog as the closest thing she'll ever have to a kid due to medical issues. However, my girlfriend is just always naked at home. Playing with the dog, naked. Cuddling on the couch, naked. She keeps a slip dress by the door for walks, but otherwise, naked. And it's weird. right? I try to be subtle, but finally, the other day I sat down with her and pointed out that yes, she's trained the dog to not sniff human butts. That's funny. But it's still like something out of an illegal adult movie for her to be naked with an animal all the time. It's actually nothing like that even remotely. Wow, she got pissed and asked me to leave. I tried to talk sense into her, but she wasn't listening to it. I finally left her house, and once I got back to my apartment, I tried texting one of her friends, but she blew up at me saying I was an ass. My girlfriend is now radio silence. Am I the a-hole here? Edit! Wow, I stepped away to make and eat dinner, and this blew up. I wasn't expecting this many things. To answer questions, no, I'm not a troll, and I'm not jealous of a literal female dog. I know my girlfriend isn't doing anything, but it's still weird. I do see being naked as since the only times I'm fully naked are when I'm showering or, well, have I respect that my girlfriend doesn't feel the same way, but I'll get up to use the bathroom or something and come back to the dog in my spot on the couch asleep with her head on my girlfriend's naked thigh. That's just so weird. How is it not? You're the a-hole. You made a very strange comment, implying some sort of bestial or inappropriate relationship with a dog. Just sit with that for a bit. You doubled down instead of apologizing. She didn't need it explained to her. She's not dumb. She disagrees with your opinion. She kicked you out. You, instead of accepting she didn't want to talk to you, messaged a friend to try to get access to her. Creepy, dude. That's creepy. Yes, you're the a-hole. You accused your girlfriend of bestiality because she doesn't like clothes? That's a hell of an escalation. How do you expect her to react? You're the a-hole. My wife and I both sleep naked, and our dog sleeps with us. By ops logic, does that mean we're engaging in bestiality too? So I hope no one gets up in arms about this, because people do be getting mad over silly things, but I'm not a big naked person myself. I like the drink. It's just kind of a concept I've never really been down and chill with, and never really enjoyed, never really vibe with, and that's me, okay? So if you're dating someone who is like this, and you're like, you don't have to date them. If you date someone and you go into the relationship knowing this thing about them, I think for him, he actually is somewhat uncomfortable with her being a nudist. That's kind of a vibe. I don't know if I'm the only one picking that up, but that's kind of just like my take from this. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe I'm just overthinking things as I tend to do. But if you date someone and there is something that you go into the relationship knowing they do and then it bothers you later, you're kind of part of the problem. It's like those people who date gamers, say, and they expect them to not game because they got into a relationship. Now, gaming for 10 hours a day. Not good for you, not healthy, but if you get into a relationship with someone knowing that about them, then it is your responsibility to deal with the consequences of knowing that about the person prior to dating them. So it sounds like this guy knew that Miss Girl was into nudity, and his problem is with dog. The thing is, I don't understand why that's a thing that makes him uncomfortable. Like, dogs are kind of dirty and smell weird and are kind of gross. I don't hate dogs. I like dogs. I'm not really seeing the problem. An animal doesn't care if you're naked. Like, some cats will come up and lick the water off your skin. And that's without consent. I just don't really get the big deal with being naked around an animal. Like, if that's what you're taking an issue with, I wish it was explained a little bit better. So basically, his issue is summed up. So the issue that really is summed up is that it's something like out of an illegal adult movie. So you're kind of thinking with that kind of mindset, and that makes the conversation insanely creepy. What kind of adult movies are you watching that you would think that? It just sounds like this ain't your person. You know, maybe you should find someone else who doesn't enjoy being naked. And that's really what this boils down to, I think. Sometimes you date someone, you like them, but you just don't connect on the points that count. I would never want to date someone who likes to be naked. Pets or not. And that's my choice. Just like it's her choice to be naked. Naked around her dog. I mean, what more can we say? I don't really understand how you make the connection of, oh, it's like an adult film. That's weird. That's creepy, and that's the issue here. So anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for saying no to my wife joining a gaming session with my friends? So for background, my wife hates video games. Her hobbies are reading, crafting, writing, etc. I really enjoy video games, making games, etc. During the pandemic, I've gotten back in touch with friends from high school, and we have gaming nights twice a week. My wife, on the other hand, does not have any friends and is pretty sad about it. Sometimes we have arguments about her being jealous of my hangouts with my friends. I do make time for her, and we do have date nights at home, etc. Well, my wife asked me yesterday if she could join in with my friends this week. This came way out of left field. Like I said, my wife has never really played any video games at all, and we don't really play beginner-friendly games. She knows this. I asked her why she wants to join, and she says she's so lonely and just wants to be around people. That's actually really sad. She begged me to ask my friends if it would be okay, so I did. Well, none of my friends were fans of the idea. None of them have girlfriends, and there are no women in the group, and we've all known each other since high school. Many of them have never even met my wife. The idea made them uncomfortable. I told my wife this, and she cried. She told me she's so tired of having no one to talk to and hearing my camaraderie with her friends. And hearing my camaraderie with my friends, and she just wants something like that. She tried joining virtual classes and things, but it's hard to make friends out of the blue during a pandemic. I don't know what it's like to be lonely. Oh. I know what it's like to be lonely. And I empathize, but I don't think this was a solution. She asked me to ask my friends again, and I said no. Am I the a-hole for this? You are the a-hole. You should be prioritizing your partner's feelings. My partner was in your exact position, where I was lonely, had just moved to a new area with him, and didn't have a lot of friends. He invited me to play Pictionary and Codenames with his high school friends just one night, and it evolved into me playing online multiplayer games with them at least once a week. Clearly, your wife has had an interest in some form of gaming, and you are just choosing to ignore it because it does not meet you and your buddy's interest level, which is sad, honestly. Listen to your wife and hear her out. There are plenty of fun, beginner-friendly, two-person games for you two to discover together. Not the a-hole, we're all allowed to have things that are just ours. If I were you guys, I'd sit down with her and see if there's anything you guys can start doing together with others that don't involve your gaming nights so she can interact with others but doesn't feel completely alone while she meets new friends. It might help her to know that while your game nights aren't an ideal fit, you're very much interested in finding something to do together that isn't a solo date night or just hanging out. You know, the thing is, he asked, his friend said no. So, should we be respecting the friends? I think yes, because they're not comfortable with it. The thing is, meeting your partner's friends always ends up disappointing you. Is that a hot take? I feel like she wouldn't have fun. Like, if she actually tried it, she probably wouldn't enjoy it, and then she'd never ask to do it again. I feel like it would also be very awkward for people in the group. Having someone you don't really know join in on something like that can kind of feel really awkward, but at the same time, I do feel for her. It's hard making friends, point blank, but during the height of the pandemic, it's always been very hard to make friends as an adult, but even tougher at the height of not being able to see people or do things. I think it's ultimately the friend group's decision. Like, they shouldn't feel pressured to say yes. And I understand how lonely she is, and that really sucks, and I feel like maybe there's workarounds, you know. The suggestions that were made honestly felt pretty solid. Maybe start her with beginner-friendly two-person games, kind of get her introduced, see if it's something she's even actually interested in. It's really tough hearing, like, the camaraderie and the way friends are, and it's something you don't have. Like, it really sucks having to see that, but generally joining a group of all men, you're not gonna have a good time. Especially with games that you have zero experience in. People tend to get very competitive, or mean, or nasty, or say things, or make weird comments. Am I traumatized? A little bit. Kind of my take on it, she probably wouldn't have joined herself anyway, but I don't feel like he should have to be like, let's force her into the group anyway, when his friends have made it pretty clear they don't want her joining. I think that would just make tensions for her, because they don't want her in the group. What their intentions are, I cannot speak on that. It seems like everyone was jumping to incel. I feel like that's kind of an unfair assumption to leap to. Not wanting someone in your group that you don't really know, or who's not very good at games, or really has any experience, might not be the best thing for that group. I understand that you can't dedicate all your time and your affection to your spouse, and it's rough. And hey, we out the pandemic now, so I wonder where they ended up. Hopefully Miss Girl got some friends, because that's sad. And I think a lot of us will find this relatable, so it's kind of hard not to side with her, but at the same time, you can also kind of understand what is wrong with you. But at the same time, you can also kind of understand where the friends are coming from, you know? And I think the incel comments are a very great leap. So that's my take. I don't know if this makes him the a-hole, but maybe I don't want to make a determination. Maybe I'm tired of determinations. Maybe I'm tired of determining things. What's your opinion? Alright, so, I've been filming for over an hour now. So because I'm losing my voice, let's do one last crazy one for the night. Am I the a-hole for making my foster sister give up her seat whenever my friends go places with us? I'm 18 female, the only kid in my family that drives. I have a 16-year-old foster sister, Mackenzie, who has been here for 2 years, and a real sister, Lily, who is 8. Just gonna say early on saying real sister. Both my parents work a lot, so my mom lets me use her second car to see my friends, and she asks me to drive Lily and Mackenzie places and gives me money to take them out to eat. I usually invite my friend Chloe or my boyfriend Gabe to come with us, and when they do, I make Mackenzie give them the front seat and sit in the back with Lily. She always whines that she shouldn't have to move for my friends, and they should sit in the back, but she eventually gets in the back. Yesterday we went out for lunch, and when we got to Chloe's house, Mackenzie started whining again that she didn't want to give up her seat, and that it's not fair. I told her it's not fair that I'm expected to chauffeur her around to wherever she wants to go, but here we are. She went to the back, and we went to get burgers. The people at the drive-thru forgot to make my burger, so they told us to wait in the front, and they'll get it for me. I parked and gave Chloe and Lily their burgers so they could eat, and told Mackenzie to get my burger. Get it yourself. She said no, and that it's my burger, so I should get it myself. She refused to get out of the car, so I had to get out and wait. When we got home, I told Mackenzie off for being a disrespectful little and told her to stay in her room until my mom got home and took her phone and tablet. You took her phone and tablet? Why are you punishing someone who's almost your age? Imagine being punished by someone 2 years older than you. When my mom got home, Mackenzie ran to her and cried that I was being mean to her, and my mom sided with her and said that she had a really bad home and we need to be gentle with her, and she said that I can't drive her car until I learn to be nice to my sister, and yelled at me for taking her phone and tablet and sending her to her room. It's extremely weird of a thing to do, not gonna lie. I think that since my parents are letting Mackenzie live here, the least she could do is be respectful to me and my family. So am I the a-hole for making my foster sister give up her seat in the car? Edit. Also, I babysit them Mondays and Tuesdays while my parents work, because I decided to wait a year before going to college, and it was either that or pay rent, so I was in charge when this happened. Edit. Okay, I know I shouldn't have tried to make her get my burger, but she should have been more mature about it and not run crying to mommy and daddy and having to sleep in their room. And I'm seeing a lot of comments about this, so I'm going to say it here. My parents are trying to adopt Mackenzie. Edit. My parents said they talked about my punishment and they'll tell me when they come. Update. My parents are kicking me out. Because apparently me being here is negatively affecting Mackenzie's mental health and could potentially interfere with her adoption, so now I have to get a job, buy a car, and help pay for my own apartment. Before we get into that, let's read some of the comments. You're the a-hole. I wish I could say that a million times. M owes you nothing. She's not your servant, and you have absolutely no right to punish her. Your mother lets you use the car with the provision you drive your sister and M. You are not doing her a favor, you are earning the right to have a car to drive. M does not owe you any respect. Your attitude sucks and you act very entitled. Your parents are good people helping out M. I'm sure they're horrified at your behavior. You're the a-hole more for the burger thing than the seat thing. She's your 16-year-old, only 2 years younger than you, foster sister, not your freaking slave, and you're not the boss. Disrespectful my ass, LMAO! And then the kind of general vibe and consensus of the comment section was, for you to end up getting kicked out like that, there has to be more to the story. So we've all kind of questioned and wondered, like, How much did the original poster really leave out? The entire story is very suspicious. So just the way she talks about Mackenzie, you can tell she doesn't like her. They're only 2 years apart in age, and she comes from a bad background, and her parents are trying to adopt Mackenzie. So this would be more than a foster sibling, it would become your adopted sibling, right? To not only... This is a crazy story. While the story rings as kind of fake, I just think demanding respect when you are demanding someone does something for you and you're basically treating them like a servant or a slave, and in general, the disdain for this individual really comes through in the writing. You can tell she doesn't like Mackenzie. It's very apparent, the hatred she has towards Mackenzie. And I think it's unfounded, because a lot of people within the foster system, especially teenagers, have very rough backgrounds. And it was described in the post that she came from a bad home. So Mackenzie has probably been through a fair amount, and original poster's parents are doing the best they can and trying to provide Mackenzie a safe, reliable home. I'm also pretty sure the foster system kicks you out at 18, and she's been with them for 2 years. So treating someone like they are less than you, or like trash, like, would you treat Lily like this? Would you treat someone who is biologically related to you like this? I feel like there is an inherent bias here. It's not so much about getting in the back seat, because, you know, some people could argue, I want my guests up front with me. But I think it's the demanding respect, trying to punish her, taking away her stuff, and then the clear hatred that comes through within the post makes you sound very much like the a-hole. At least in my opinion. It's a hard you are the a-hole for me because there's not a lot of redeeming stuff about this story. Saying Lily is her real sister, which kind of tells you she doesn't view Mackenzie as someone who's going to be joining their family or has already joined, because if you've been with a foster family for 2 years, I mean, you've had a lot of time to adapt. And then mocking her for running to the parents and having to sleep in their room. I don't know what that's about. But getting kicked out for that, I feel like there's more to the story here, and stuff that the original poster probably left out so that they wouldn't sound bad. People do that a lot. Like, that's extremely common with their stories, that they will leave out insane details that make you realize in no way, shape, or form could they ever not be the a-hole. And besides, the mother's letting her drive the car, and the only thing she has to do is make sure that Mackenzie and Lily get around. That's my take on it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know. Alright, that is where we're gonna end things for the night. My SD card is running out of storage. I don't know if you can hear it. My voice has been like really shaky, kind of raspy. Past couple weeks, it's been really bad. So I can only read so many stories. Why don't you just record them all on different days? Because I don't want to. I want to get it all done in one. You don't get to call them freaking shots. It's with me every single day, so it's not going to change today, tomorrow, the next day. It is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't, and nothing gonna change that. So if you're like, this was fun, I want more, well, I have really excellent news for you. Down below, I will link to my other Reddit stories and my The A-Hole Only stories, as well as regular Reddit stories, if you want to go and check that out, and you can spend more time with me, because there's a lot of stories there. And if you want to go through and read some of these stories yourself, I will link down to the 2 pages we used tonight, so you can read through those, because there's a lot of stories I will never be able to get to, because there's just so many. So yeah, everything will be linked down below. So thank you all so much for watching, hopefully you all enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you all here next time.